It's Coach Gaglione here from GaglioneStrength.com. This is another edition of the Powerlifting for the People podcast. We have another strong lady on the line. Stacey, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, John?
Good, I'm great. Well, thanks for having you. For those people that maybe it's your first time listening or they don't know who you are, can you just introduce yourself and tell us a little about yourself, where you are, and where you're from?
Okay, my name is Stacey Burr. A lot of people call me Bama, so Bama Burr. I am in Darlington, South Carolina. I'm kind of strong, decent 148 power lifter. I've got 3 all-time world records in raw and classic raw. I do a little bit like that. I'm a coach, and I don't know. I'm kind of a miscellaneous. I do a little bit of everything, but here I am, and I'm glad to talk to you and talk to you about anything as far as strength goes and training. So
Cool,
here I am.
awesome. Yeah. So for those maybe that don't, so you have the sleeved record and the wraps record, right?
Yeah, and then I've got the total records for both of those, and then I have the all-time squat record in sleeves too at 148.
Cool.
So
Very cool. And yeah, I got to see compete a couple of times. Got to see you compete at the U.S. Open. So you had a great performance there. So that was really cool to watch. And the person I know that was a really good showing. So very
oh
cool.
yeah, that was a good time. That was really probably the most relevant performance that I've had that really kind of put me on the map. So
Sure.
you got to witness a pretty good one.
Yeah, and I think it's cool. It's definitely one thing to kind of hit the numbers, but doing it on a big stage, doing it when you're going head to head against some other really great competitors, there's a little bit more pressure on the line. There's money on the line, so I think it just made it kind of that much more sweeter. So very
For me,
cool.
that's what I thrive on. I thrive on competition. I've always been a competitive athlete, so I mean, whenever it's actually the best lifters in the world per se,
Yeah.
got going head to head, and I actually had to change my third attempt pull at the U.S.
Yep.
Open.
Yep. Yep.
And so, I mean, that kind of head to head, you have to get it or you're not going to be on the podium. That's what I thrive off of. So that's the real competitor mindset for me. So this time it should be even more fun. I hope you're going to be there.
Yeah, I actually got my travel booked already, so I'm ready to go. I'm
It's
kind
going to be wild. So,
of yeah, I gotta plan my life months in advance now, so
yeah.
it's a good problem to have. But cool. So I just want to kind of rewind a little bit. I know you said you've always been kind of competitive. You had some experience in athletics. So tell us a little bit about how you got started training, how you got started lifting, not necessarily powerlifting, but how did you kind of get into fitness and working out and all that good stuff.
Okay. I've played sports probably since I came out of the womb. I played collegiate softball at the D2 level. I was pretty good. I think I've been named to a couple all-conference teams, the All-American team at my college. But so once I graduated from college in 2014, I didn't have anything to really do anymore. I didn't have any
Right.
competitive outlet. So I've trained and I've worked out for my entire life basically. But I used to go in the gym and I used to just hit the weights. It used to be kind of like my catharsis. I'd just kind of get in and just any emotions or anything, just work out. And I had these guys, the group of guys. It's like, hey, you're strong for a girl, and I'm like, oh, I'm really, really strong for a girl, and they're like, ask me if I power lifted or I competed, and where I'm from in South Carolina, that's really, it's not, it doesn't exist much, and so I was like, what are you talking about? And they told me that there were certain things called powerlifting competitions, and I should do one. So I said, okay, I looked into it, and I happened to be going to grad school in Columbia at USC, and Donnie Thompson's compound was there, and
Nice.
I saw a meet advertised, and it was a strange federation, but it was one of Donnie Thompson's last meets he put on, and so I decided to show up, sign up. I had no idea what I was doing. I had a Gold's Gym belt, no sleeve, no nothing. I didn't even know what commands were, but I was like, well, I can bench 185, bro style benching. I'm kind of strong squatting. I will try it and go for it. But I went for it, and I think I went 8 for 9 or 7 for 9 with an 810 total. I was a little 132 girl, but I didn't know anything what I was doing. And Donnie Thompson, he just kind of looked at me and he's like, you know what, you're not bad. If you keep this up and more, you'll probably be good one day. And I remembered it. I still remember to this day. He
That's
told me
cool.
that, and I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. But now today, I guess I'm kind of good, but still got plenty of learning. I'm still learning over time. But that was my first meet, and that's when I really realized, hey, this is something I could be good at. This is something that I really love working out and training in the gym because I've been doing it forever. With softball, and then I ran Spartan races. I did all kinds of stuff, but just to get experience. But I actually found something I was actually good at and that I enjoy. enjoyed, because when I stepped on foot at the platform, nobody knew who I was. I mean, I was just some little girl that came to lift. But I've always been really aggressive and just really, if the weight's on the bar, I'm gonna do it. And so I had all these people cheering for me and just screaming my name. And just the way I felt on the platform, that's something I never really felt before, even when I played softball. And so I had that feeling. I wanted to feel that again. So I kept competing and I kept getting better. And here we are now. So
yeah, just really quick side note. I think that it's just kind of funny. So I kind of got into lifting the same way. I used to wrestle. I played football, so kind of have that. But also, like oddly enough, one of my kind of breaking moments was we actually had Donnie Thompson come up for a seminar. This was like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and I remember like he had like kind of was like we were loading up the bar. I'm squatting at the time. I was like just wanted to hit like over 700-pound squat in a meet, and we kept loading up the bar. And I remember like kind of he believed in me too, and I hit my first 800-pound squat in training, and then I hit 850 at the meet, which was like a huge like PR for me. So I just thought that was kind of funny that he's like that we kind of had that like in common. But
I mean, it's kind of funny. So you just squatted my first total too. But
well, I mean, hey, but to be truth be told, but 810 total is still a great like, especially for your first meet. So it wasn't like but obviously I know you're doing a lot more now, but that's pretty cool. So would you say like just getting the reassurance from someone like Donnie, who for those listening who don't know, Donnie has first 3,000-pound total, still has the all-time world record multiply at super heavyweight. But what was it like kind of hearing that from him, and did that kind of maybe spark your interest a little bit more and give you some encouragement to continue? Like,
oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I had no idea what I was doing, and for somebody that had been doing this a while and was actually very good, for him to say, "Not bad, not bad," I was like, well, all right, maybe one day I'll actually be good and I'll impress him. So I haven't talked to him much since, but maybe I'm impressing him now. I'm not sure yet. But if I haven't impressed him yet, I feel sure I will at the Open. Stay tuned, Donnie.
Very cool. So obviously you climbed up the ranks pretty quickly. I mean, I know it's been like a couple of years, but still like kind of I mean, how many years have it's been?
I started. That was my first meet was May of 2014 with Donnie, or not May. It was October of 2014. So here we are now. It's like 3 years later. I mean, I've been working the entire time, and I used to train very stupid. I'll be honest, like very stupid. I didn't know what fatigue management was. I just trained hard all the time. I'm surprised I didn't get injured. I didn't get hurt. But everything I just wanted, if I want to do something, I do it 150%. So I didn't know what backing off was or anything like that. But I attribute part of my success to just that mentality of, giving it every single day. And so, I mean, I push hard all the time. But when I finally found somebody, my coach that I have now, Sean Brownstein, when he found me, actually, I should say that, he introduced a new element to my training, fatigue management. And basically, I made a ton of gains when we did that just because I was training smarter and more efficiently. And my body was actually having time to rest and recover versus me just beating it up all the time. So that and, getting smarter, it's made a game changer.
Was there any did you have any setbacks in your training or a plateau? I know you said you were lucky not to have any injuries that maybe kind of the light bulb turned on that you had to kind of switch things up, or did you have any setbacks or?
I had an injury in the beginning of 2016. Actually, I was seeing a chiropractor for a little bit of rotator cuff damage, just from benching. Strange series of events, but he ended up doing some adjusting that was too aggressive for me, and I ended up with an L5 fracture, and I couldn't squat or deadlift for probably 4 months, and that was the beginning of 2016. And that was when I actually met Sean. I wasn't even able to train, and I met Sean, who is coaching me now, and he pretty much brought me back to life with rehab and doing stuff to take care of me. And that's one reason why I trust him so much with my programming, because I never really reached out and let anybody help me, which was part of my problem, me being, just like that. I thought I could do it on my own. But then when I reached out, he helped me and took good care of me. We just skyrocketed from there. But at that point in time, that wasn't even my fault. See, I should have hurt myself, but I didn't even do it. It's pretty much God was just like, okay, this is going to happen sooner or later, so I'm going to put brakes on it. But, that really sucked, and that showed me how important actually rehabilitation and building back up is too, because I couldn't squat or deadlift, period, and so I had to build my way back up doing that. But as far as other injuries, I really, knock on wood, don't have anything crazy. So
Yeah.
I managed that one pretty luckily.
Sure. So I know, like, kind of maybe think back, like if someone was kind of dealing with a similar situation where maybe they can't train currently, they're like a lot weaker, or maybe they can't even squat with the barbell. Like, what advice would you give someone who's maybe coming back from an injury and from something like that?
Take the time to actually rebuild. Take the time to do the little exercises that you can do. Take the time to do the stuff that you've neglected all along, like mobility and just like warm up drills. Take the time to correct the movement pattern, even if you can't use weight or if you can't use extraordinary weight.
Sure.
Just correct the movement pattern and fix the weaknesses, the stabilizers, whatever the problem is. You can work around it and you can build back without going any further back.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. I think sometimes with social media and stuff, we see like the highlight reel and we see like oh you whatever.
Don't get me started with this social media
you squatted whatever, you're deadlifting this or you're squatting this, but they don't kind of see like where you started. But I think, but yeah, so just maybe talk about like just maybe having patience and kind of like you said, like some just like how do you kind of maybe block out some like the stuff that maybe that kind of goes on like for yourself.
Like this I could go on a different rant with this anyway, but social media is like one of the best blessings and curses at the same time.
Sure.
Because it's great for advertisement, marketing, and interacting with each other, but as far as a lot of times for females especially, and I can speak from both sides of the coin because I do what I want to do anyway, but for females, you see girls over here squatting 500, you see girls squatting 400, and sometimes depending on what part of your off season you're in or what part of your journey training you are, you're like, well, man, I'm never going to be that strong, or man, I'm never going to be that good, and it almost puts a damper on you and what you're doing.
Right.
But you got to put on blinders, and you got to remember that they're at a different point in their journey. She's been training for exceptionally longer than you.
Sure.
She has all kinds of different situations, but you just put the blinders on sometimes and just remember. Close your social media for a little bit and just think about your progress and what you need to do. Because a lot of times we see these exercises and variations and we think, oh, that'll be great for me. But maybe it wouldn't be. Maybe you need to focus on what you need to improve on, what you need to do, and your numbers. Because just close social media for a couple days and it'll refresh your mind. But, you got to focus on you and your progress, most importantly.
I think that's great, and I think it's great to hear from someone that's obviously a world record holder. It can be really easy to get caught up with what other people are doing, but it's really easy to take things out of context. You don't really know like what the purpose is, when this happened or whatever. But if you just kind of focus, if you're doing good and you're making progress and you're chipping away and you're staying healthy, just stay in the game. Because sometimes too, like these people are, you don't really know. They could be a flash in the pan. They could be in and out of the sport. You don't really know like what the future holds, but if you're like in the longer you're in the game, the more successful like you're going to be. So I think it's
good. And I thought about doing a meet in December of this year, and really my body wasn't ready for it. And I'm not gonna lie, I see all the girls at Record Breakers. I see everybody hitting records. And they're ramping up for a meet, and it's like, man, they're lifting mid-fives, and I'm over here. I'm just like, I'm chipping away. I'm doing technique work. I'm doing all the little crap stuff that I don't want to do. And does it suck a little bit? Yeah, because I love lifting heavy. I love being aggressive and having fun. But I also know the importance of building a solid foundation. And like their point in training, they're peaking for a meet. Obviously, they're going to be stronger than me 5 million weeks out. I mean, so, in different circumstances. But me I'm an elite powerlifter. It still is hard, but you have to flashback, remember where you're at in your training, what you're doing. And if you're doing something every day to get yourself better and put yourself in a better position, then ultimately when the time comes, like when I come for the U.S. Open, I'm going to be ready. My body's going to be ready, and I'm going to perform how I'm supposed to. Because, social media glorifies the social media gym heroes now a lot of times, and you forget about what's really important. If I'm a powerlifter, I'm an athlete, my performance on the platform is what really matters the most. So that's my bottom line there. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to perform on the platform. So.
Awesome. Yes, I kind of want to go back to like the first thing we were talking about. So we talked about your performance. We talked about you had this great day, big deadlift. Just correct me if I'm wrong, but that your third attempt deadlift put you into second place. Is that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So I just want to make sure I had that right. So you kind of like it was a little bit. That was a really big PR, right? It was a little bit of like a. It
Oh
was
yeah, oh yeah,
so
to say the least.
so yeah. Just like kind of walk us through that, like kind of play by play. So we're going into the deadlift. You're having a great meet. You hit a big squat. You hit a big bench. Now we're going into the deadlift, and you're kind of going into uncharted waters. So what was kind of like the strategy? Does Sean kind of just pick the numbers and you kind of just go? Like how does that work? And what's kind of going through your head at that point when you're kind of getting toward the end of the meet?
I'll give you a little background. I'm not very pleased with my performance at the Open last year. I know that sounds far fetched, but I went to win. I didn't go for
Well,
second
yeah,
place.
it's all perspective, obviously. So yeah, sure,
I'll tell you the truth. I went to win, and so me and Sean, we calculated the numbers. We added up everything that was possible on a unicorn day with
sure,
the best
sure,
circumstances. And obviously you prepare for the best day, or you also have a backup plan for the worst day.
right.
I'm actually a pretty well-rounded lifter. If it's a good day for me, I good decent squat, pretty good bench, and the deadlift has kind of always been a wild card for me because for deadlift, I'm way too aggressive. I'm way more aggressive than I should be. But it's also a good thing for me because if the time is right, I can pull whatever on the bar within reason. And because I'm that determined, I'm that aggressive,
Yeah.
my form is like 90% there, I'll be good. But sometimes I get wild. But so anyways, we were set up and I knew my goal was to pull over 5. My best pull in training was 480. And it moved like dog crap. I'm not even going to try to exaggerate. My best pull in training was about 3 weeks out. It was 480, slow as crap. I actually chunked it on the floor, and I was like, man, I was just like, shook my head. I was like, how am I gonna pull above 5? How? And Shauna was like, just trust me, because like I've always been under fatigue.
Sure.
Anytime I deadlift, I always squatted a ton before. And so he was like, after we peak a little bit, he's like, you'll be ready. And he's like, and I know how bad you want it. He's like, and that's what's going to be the kicker. And I was like, you're right. And so I talked to a lot of people, and people were like, what are your projected? What do you want? Like, what do you want? And I was like, squat, I wanted 500. Bench, I wanted above 3. And the deadlift, I was like, whatever it takes. And everybody laughed. And I'm like, no, like, I really don't know. And I was like, I think it'll be above 5, but above that, I have no idea. So my initial, what we put in for my third was 519 or 518, which was still been a giant PR for me because I've never even touched 5. But when Susan Salazar sealed her third pull, whatever it was, what I had to do for the Wilks, Sean and my girlfriend Jill were over there, and they went to the table, looked up to see what I would
crunching
have to
the numbers. Yep.
Put myself in second place, and to put myself in first, which would have been obviously I'm too much. So this is why I'm glad I have a coach. To put myself in first, I would have had to pull, I think, 546.
Yeah.
And I'm stupid enough that I would have tried it. Like if it was up to me, I would have tried it. But Sean is my coach, and he's the master. He knows me better than I do myself. And he called 529, which was what we had to have. And it was such a big jump. So I think my second attempt.
Yeah, it was big. I remember. Yep.
My second attempt was like 480, and it flew, but
Still.
we had to make that a giant jump. And I think the girl at scores table asked Sean. She was like, "Are you sure?"
That's
I don't have a choice.
It's like, yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah, it's always good when they say that.
Are you sure? And he was like, I guess so. We'll see what happens. But I don't know. I knew whatever was on the bar, I had to pull it. I didn't even really ask Sean because I didn't care.
You knew you had to get it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like a little pit bull back there, tiny, just angry on meet day. I was like, I'm not losing. I was like, and Sean told me, he's like, there's no chance for first. But if you miss this pull, you're not going to be on the podium. And I was like, I didn't come here to lose. So whatever it was, I was going to pull it.
Very cool.
So I pulled it, got it, and it just really, it was awesome. I can't, if you watch the celebration or anything, it's just raw emotion.
Yeah, you were fired up.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, I'll be completely honest here. Before the U.S. Open, nobody knew who I was. Nobody thought I had a chance. Nobody, if you'd watched on Instagram, you thought, the big girls were, the ones the big names, they were taken easy squeezy. There were certain podcasts that projected who they thought were gonna win, with little mentions of maybe this girl has a chance. No, Stacey Burr never came out of anybody's mouth, and I knew the whole time I was going to win. I didn't do my job. I came in second, but I knew I was going to win. And so being overlooked and being slept on, that fuels my fire even more because I'm a competitor, and I appreciate coming out of nowhere. This year, I'm actually, and it's kind of a tactic too. I wanted to compete in December, but I also want to keep to myself a little bit because I have something pretty impressive coming, and I'm gonna keep it to myself. It might not make social media, so it might not make social media until it's on the platform.
Cool.
So,
well, I have much respect for you. It was great to watch that happen because I mean, listen, I've kind of been there. I've had to make some of those calls yourself, and sometimes you're just kind of like, all right, it's like I hope it it pans out, but sometimes sometimes you got to swing and sometimes you got to go for that home run swing, and sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't, but it's really awesome when it comes together. So, but yeah, definitely congratulations on that. So that's really cool.
That was actually the first time ever that I went 9 for 9. So I'm not a perfect lifter by any means.
Sure. Yeah, well, it's fun. Larry's got 9 for 9 twice with 2 world records. So I always I've been competing for 12 years myself, and I've never gone 9 for 9. I can get people to go 9 for 9, but I've never got 9 for 9 myself. So I always say enjoy it, those 9 for 9 PR days, because they're few and far between, and definitely they're very be very grateful when they come your way. So, but yeah, it definitely came at the right time. So for sure. So cool. So obviously, you had a great performance. I really liked the advice that you gave to maybe you don't need to post every single workout you do. Maybe you don't need to worry about it. Sometimes, we'll have people at our gym. It's oh, I forgot to video it or whatever. And it's I'm like, guys, it's more important you did the work. Yeah. It's more important that you actually did it. It's okay if you didn't get a video for every set and every rep. I think that when I started, there was a handful of people on YouTube, but no one had cameras in the gym and stuff, and the focus was on training. So I think that
actually training.
Yeah, it wasn't I've literally had, and this person doesn't train at my gym anymore, but I've had guys oh, can I squat in this rack because the lighting is better, in this rack, and it's dude, it's you just got the wrong stuff. You're worried about the wrong stuff. I mean, this is kind of the age we live in, so I think it's good to hear someone like yourself. And listen, there's a time and a place for it. Obviously, for me, it's a business for me. If you train people, that stuff's important. But at the end of the day, it's the training, it's the process, it's the competing. That's don't lose sight of what's important. So I think that's a really good message to hear for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, I record videos 95% because I send them to my coach. So he can look at them, he critique them. That's what my videos are for, and mainly now in the era of, I don't know, how edited do I have to be?
It's all good. We'll put not safe for work, not safe for wife.
In the era of now, it almost kind of sucks now because powerlifting's pussified. That's what people are calling it now.
Right.
Because everybody's oh, let me make sure the lighting is right or this, that, and the third.
Yeah.
No. If I'm squatting 500 pounds and I'm a little girl, I don't care what the light looks like. I don't care what I look like. I'm trying to squat weight, and that's what real powerlifting is.
Sure.
Powerlifting for me is an outlet, so I don't kill people. So the whole, let's do this because it looks good. No. And then for the open, I'd never trained in wraps before, so this was a whole different wild card for me.
Sure, yeah.
Still suck at them, just being honest. Jill, actually, my little 130-pound girlfriend, she was the one that wrapped me. My wraps were slinging like this bar.
Yes.
I mean, so I basically squatted in tight sleeves.
Yeah, no, you could definitely. I'm sure you could definitely get a lot more out of them. But that's a whole skill in itself. A lot of people think you can just throw them on and you get 100 more pounds in your squat, but there's definitely a technique to it, and you got to train them. And you got to practice. So
that's part of my goal now is to actually use the wraps, learn the wraps, because I've tried to rework my squat style because up until I met Sean, I was never a technical lifter. I had a lot of heart, and I'd get lifts, but you'd wonder how I didn't die when I got them.
Sure.
But now I'm actually slowing things down. I'm being more technically sound, and so if I can take a slow descent on a squat and crank out some rebound out of a wrap, hey, maybe 600's closer than I think it is. But But for the open, that was a whole new wild card for me throwing on wraps. So all my squats, my top singles and stuff like that, I didn't post any squat until the week before the open when I posted like my last heavy squat, just because at this point in time, there's nothing you can do about it. So I posted my 490 squat, which is my last heavy squat for the open. But I kept everything else to myself because a lot of times when people don't see you post on social media, they think you're doing bad. So all my competitors were like, Stacey hasn't posted these squats. Those reps supposed to be kicking her butt. No, they weren't. I just didn't have to dick whip for Instagram. I was doing the training. I knew I was capable of it. I was surprised whenever it comes on the platform and you're not ready for it. Because part of it was, with the battle for the Wilks, with the girls at least, I knew what everybody pretty well was capable of. So I had to, keep a little bit to myself. So maybe people don't know I'm going to come and squat 500. And that could be, to my advantage, because, it's poker. Why would you show everybody your every single move? But people do it for the followers and for the likes. But that's never been my motive.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think it's important to just know your purpose and know why you're doing it. I think that should help drive your decisions and your behaviors. I think that's really good advice, not just for lifting, but just in life. I think that's really good stuff.
If you're doing what you need to do, you're doing the work, you're good. You don't need the likes and the affirmations from everybody else. I know I'm coming to do what I got to do. So
cool.
I told you I could ramble, so keep on moving.
No, we're good. I think I just want to also highlight too, like you said, I don't really care about the lighting and stuff. Even with this podcast, there's no professional intro, there's no kind of crew. It's just a recording. I just want to put good information out there and just interview girls like yourself, because to me the message is more important. It doesn't need to be this huge production. I just want to we want to put out good information. I think this is great. Just having conversations like this is really important and definitely will help a lot of people. So one thing I always like to ask. If let's say a girl's starting out, they're not really sure where to start. They want to get into strength training, maybe they want to get into powerlifting. What advice would you give them if they were just starting out?
Get in the gym. Get in the gym first. You don't have to buy all this. People think, I want to get involved with powerlifting, so I need a belt, I need $200 shoes, I need all this fancy equipment. No, just go ahead and get in the gym. I started and I was squatting 300 pounds, benching almost 200 pounds, and I didn't have a single thing. Because if you get in the gym, think you need all this special stuff or you need the most specialized program in the world. You really don't. Any program, honestly, that's put together specifically will work if you work. So if you just get in the gym, start moving some weights, move some dumbbells, move some barbells. Start working out and see how you like it. Start moving heavier weight, but get a little bit of form, a little bit of practice. Get in the gym first, then worry about everything else. If you've never done it before a day in your life, you don't need to go in there and say, I'm going to squat 135, and it looks terrible, your depth looks like this. Just get in the gym, do the movements, and then go from there.
Yeah, I just want to highlight a couple of things you said. I think a lot of people because I do a lot of live Q&As. I get what shoes should I wear, or what is, sumo or conventional, or is it RPE or percents or blah blah blah. It's work on your technique, put in the work, be consistent. Get good sleep. A lot of this stuff is not fancy. You just need to put in the work. You need to be consistent. There's so many.
People want you to give them the answer that the Nike squat shoes are going to put 200 pounds on your squat.
Sure.
This magic program, like your program, I feel sure it works. My program works. 531 works. Everything works if you actually work. And so, I didn't even get in a pair of squat shoes until probably the last year. It's really not that important. The work ethic, consistency.
Yeah.
Consistency is the most important thing.
Sure. Yeah, you don't want to major in the minutia, but for sure, you just got to focus on the big things first, and then when you get to a higher level, you can worry about are you using calibrated plates? Are you using a deadlift bar? Are you using whatever having this whatever? So I think that's good stuff. So all right, really cool. I think that's it. I like to keep these around a little quicker, so we'll kind of close out soon. But where can people find more about you if they want to learn more about you or just follow what you're doing?
You can follow me on Instagram at Bama Burr, or you can follow my training company at Bama Brick Squad Training. My online website for my training and my training team is BamaBrickSquad.com, and that's me, and that's how you can find me.
Very
or
cool.
You can come to Darlington, South Carolina, and you can check out my training facility. It's called Bad Dog Barbell, but I don't know why you would be in Darlington, South Carolina in the first place. But if you wind up lost there, just call me.
Hey, if one person finds the gym, that's good by me. But definitely give Stacey a follow. Thank you so much for coming on today. If this interview helped you, please share it. Please give the podcast a 5-star review. Subscribe on iTunes. It helps other people find us. And thank you guys so much for watching. And then we'll see you next time. Thanks so much.